Well, welcome back. Let's get back to Colet Odenigbo, who was giving his perspective on this matter. Well, Colet, actually, what do you say to those who think, look, yes, politicians will always play politics, and so it has little or nothing to do with the expectations of Nigerians, as you started out putting it?
No, if you recall, before they began this process of screening, the Senate made categorical statements that it's not going to be business as usual. And the Nigerians had high expectations, including myself. And some of the screening has gone very well. Some of them has been business as usual. I'm sure you will agree with me. There are some nominees that came and took a bow that, to me, there was no basis for that. They have never been in the National Assembly. They have never been members of the Senate, which was a privilege that was accorded to members of the Senate or members of the House who have been in the House before. And these individuals nominees were asked to take a bow and leave. That, I think, was a mockery of the process. And if you have followed what is going on in the social media, I'm sure you would have seen the resentment of Nigerians to such a process. But nevertheless, I want to state here that so far, that contrary to what I said last week when I was here, listening to some of these nominees, that I was quite impressed with some of the nominees that came. If you recall, our problem was the time that it took the president to come up with this list. But so far, I believe that some of these individuals that have been nominated are willing and ready to move Nigeria forward.
If you look at what you highlighted now, it will seem as if you've given some form of a pass mark to some of those who have come forward. What do you expect to see in the days to come, especially now that it resumes today? For some, they will say they would love to see another style of questioning from the senators. What's your perspective to that?
I would want to join Nigerians to second that position. This is people's business, and I do believe that these representatives that are representing us in the Senate ought to drill these nominees harder than they are drilling the ones that have come before them last week. I want to implore the senators that, especially the opposition senators, that they are the watchdog on behalf of the Nigerians for this process. And as much as the APC senators want to see a smooth and rancor-free process, it is their duty and the obligation to speak the minds of Nigerians by way of drilling the nominees further than they have done in the past.
Are there questions bothering you that you thought they should have asked that never came forth?
Yes, as much as I admire former Governor Fashola, I've admired and followed his work in Lagos. I believe that his answers to the 70 million naira website was unacceptable. I mean, he was the chief executive of the state, and for him to say that he never signed any check in the state, I think that the question, that answer was unacceptable. And I believe, or I thought that the senators should have followed up on that question. You know, when you are the chief executive of a company and somebody under you writes a check for 70 million for a website, and you go before your shareholders and say that you didn't write that check, I don't think that you have your job by the time you leave that boardroom. So I believe that that answer was unacceptable. He did very well, by the way, in his presentation, but I believe that that answer to that question was unacceptable, and that the senator should have prodded him a lot more deeper into that, just to get the truth, because by not going further into that question, that means that it was okay, and it's not okay by Nigerians, as you can see from the social media, what's going on.
Well, in terms of the expectation of Nigerians concerning when they assume office, take that responsibility, and then begin attack the business of the day, do you think many were disappointed, or what was your impression at the end of the day?
Well, you know, I came from an environment where we don't have problems surrendering our ignorance to what we don't know. I tell you that majority of the, or most of the nominees that came, you want to appreciate what they have done in the past, their background, and the comparative knowledge of government that they are going to bring to the table. I think Nigerians are going to benefit from that, but we must continue to hold these people responsible because the president has come on board promising change to Nigerians, and we are waiting for that change. 5 months into the administration, we still don't have the agenda for the government. So even these ministers that are coming, what are they going to be working on? The ministers are supposed to key into the program agenda of the president, and thus far, that agenda has not been released to Nigerians, and these are time wasted that the dividend of democracy could have been used to be delivering to Nigerians.
All right, let's move ahead a little bit. What would you like to see them focus on topmost as they assume responsibility?
Well, you know, the administration came under the mantra of anti-corruption, and most Nigerians believe that corruption is the biggest bane in Nigeria. So it is not up to them to say they are at the disposition of the president. The president will be the one to set the agenda, and once the president sets the agenda, they will have to follow that agenda. But on their individual idiosyncrasies, I believe that their past experiences and the knowledge they bring to bear will help to foster that presidential agenda. If you recall, last time I was here, I proposed the 70-30 formula, that if the president can bring 70% of the new fresh of breath air into the system and 30% of the old guard, that it will be very difficult for the 30% to corrupt the 70%. So, but if you have 70% of new breed into the system, their experience and their ideologies will come to bear to support what the president is saying. So far, I think that some of the nominees, I believe, are committed and patriotic Nigerians, and they want to see this country move forward.